The odds of a meltdown are 1 in 10,000 years. Plants have safe and reliable controls that are protected from any breakdown with 3 safety systems. 30 years ago, Vitaly Skilarov, the Ukrainian Minister of Power and Electrification, said something that he would regret. The terrible meltdown that struck the Chernobyl power plant was a tragedy that resulted in terrible fires and many deadly effects of radiation through humans and animals. The world is still being affected by what happened that one fateful day. When the town of Pripyat was constructed in 1970, it had a population of 49,400 people. When the Chernobyl power plant was constructed, it supplied many jobs to the people of Pripyat. But early into the factory's history, a meltdown occurred in the first reactor. It was easily fixed and forgotten about. Later on, a 4th unit was added. Little did the residents of Pripyat know that this unit would be their downfall. On April 25, 1986, a test of the reactors was ordered into action. The test was issued to see if the reactor's turbines could provide enough energy to keep the coolant pumps running if there was a loss of power or limited power. The workers turned the power down to 25%, and the test was going smoothly until the power dropped to 1%. The men and women tried to fix this issue by bringing the power back up, but they brought it up just too much. The Chernobyl power plant started to shake, and it made loud rumbling noises. The workers feared for their lives, and some even made a run for it. The power plant was now in utter chaos. The plant was in critical condition. The pressure was rising, and the safety systems were failing. The workers tried to raise the control rods, but they soon learned that this would not help. The reactor climaxed at 120 times its full power. At this point, an explosion was imminent. The workers scrambled to find a solution. They reinserted the emergency control rods, but it was no use. At 1:23 a.m., the power plant exploded internally. 2 men died from the impact. However, the explosion was not the end of the story. Radiation leaked out into the world. In the area around the accident, 50 people died from radiation exposure, which is a long, drawn-out death. The explosion sparked a fire. This fire raged on for 11 days and ended up killing 31 firefighters. It got so bad that they had to call in helicopters to help. One helicopter got into an accident when it was slammed into a crane. The city was evacuated as the radiation spread. Radioactive material from the meltdown was dangerous for 2 reasons. The first reason is the material was spread by wind. The wind carried the dangerous material towards Kiev, which was Ukraine's old capital city. The radioactive material kept spreading and eventually ended up in Western Europe. In the area around Chernobyl, 116,000 inhabitants were forced to flee due to radioactivity, and another 220,000 people were evacuated later from polluted territories such as Belarus, Ukraine, and Russia. The other reason is because some radioactive material made its way into the Pripyat River. These 2 factors combined to wreak havoc among wildlife. Deformities started appearing in pets, livestock, wild animals, and even a few children. Another effect of the nuclear meltdown is the elephant's foot. This is also known as the most toxic mass in the world, and it was found close to 6 months after the meltdown. When the mass was first found, it was emitting an overwhelming 10,000 roentgens per hour. It would only take 300 seconds in the mass's presence for certain death to come. The radiation coming from the mass was so strong that one could see it in a picture. The mass will be radioactive for at least another 100,000 years. Something needed to be done in order to contain the radiation. In 1986, the Ukrainian government decided to build the sarcophagus over the 4th reactor. The giant tomb was built out of 306,000 tons of material. However, the structure was made with one major flaw. It would only contain radiation for 30 years. So, in 2007, everyone realized that there needed to be more protection from the 4th reactor. A new plan was built and put into action when blueprints for a new method got ratified. An enormous metal arch was to be built over the reactor. The structure would end up costing just under $500,000 US. In recent years, tours happen almost every day in Pripyat. 10,000 people visit on average each year. Before these tours began, no one was permitted in the exclusion zone, which is an area that is off limits due to radiation danger. Due to the lack of humans in the exclusion zone and lower levels of radiation, many animal populations are thriving. Animals such as wolves, deer, boar, turtles, beavers, and even wild horses can be found here now. All in all, the Chernobyl accident has been one of the worst man-made disasters of all time. It is important to learn this story because if we don't learn the history of our mistakes, then they can reoccur. Since the Chernobyl accident, the International Atomic Energy Association has begun to use different reactor parts in order to increase nuclear safety and security on a global and domestic level. Because of the events at Chernobyl, many new regulations have been made to try and prevent future disasters like this.